know that the APA style, they always care about the surname and the year an article or a source was published. So they use the author date format. So far tumekuwa see that whenever you are doing your citations, the index citation should only comprise the surname and the year the article was published, the article, book, wherever you are referring your readers to. But there are other instances when you might need to include more than just the year. And today we want to look at these instances because I've been seeing some people they include a paragraph number along with the year and the surname. So just to recap, what you have covered so far is that let me present the screen once more. Oh, I'm still presenting. Okay, let me. Can somebody confirm it if it's still presenting? Because I thought I stopped it a while back. Good. Yeah. So so far we know that if you are referring readers to articles, you need to include an in-text citation and a corresponding entry within the reference section. And we know APA care about the author date. So they use the author date. So the default way is to put it at the end of the sentence where you've borrowed an idea. So if you're writing a paragraph and you came across an idea which claims that Kenya is one of the most developed countries, and this idea isn't yours, okay? Maybe you borrowed it from somebody else, or you need to cite it. So the default way of putting the citation is to put it at the end of a sentence where it applies. So somebody reading your paper will understand that this idea you borrowed it from a source written by Aswani, published in 2022. So if there are two authors, okay, if there are two authors, if the same source was published by two authors, according to APA, they want us to include both of them. Let's say Aswani and Eula. So, and we said if there are more than two authors, if they happen to be more than two authors, yeah, you will have ETAL, which now means and others, okay, ETAL, okay, and remember there's always a comma. There's always a comma before the year, and be very careful that you don't combine, the ETAL and the year. There has to be a space, okay? That's just the English that we are using. So these are the default ways, putting it at the end of a sentence, which means the full stop of this sentence comes after the in-text citation, okay? But we also learned that you can put it in other ways where you introduce the citation by using the words such as according to. So whenever you're using that format, okay, you can say according to. Okay, let me just according to Aswani. So when you're using this system, only the year should be in brackets and then followed by a comma and then the idea that you are referring to. So this is how you can do it, okay? So if there are two authors, let me delete this. So if there are two authors, we'll have according to Aswani and Eula, okay? So there's always a comma because of course English, according to, there must be followed by a comma. So of course the comma comes after the closing bracket of the at the year. So according to Aswani and Eula, Kenya is one of the most developed countries in Africa. If there were more than two authors, we'll have according to Aswani ETAL. Okay, so this is the default way of inserting our citations. So I wanted to talk about the instances where you might be compelled to include more than just the year. Remember, the entire idea of citing material is to refer our readers so that they can go and read more if they wanted to. So if somebody is reading this sentence and you have this in-text citation over here, and they happen to want to read more about this idea. They'll scroll down to your reference page at the bottom so that they locate this source. They can find it on the internet and they'll read more about it. So what happens if you are referring a reader to a book? This source, the source written written by Aswani in 2022 happens to be a book, and the reader wants to read more. So remember, if you realize that if it's a book, you are giving the reader a lot of work to look for where this particular sentence appears within that book. So whenever you're referring to a book, you realize just giving us the surname and the year is not enough. It's not enough because the essence of putting our in-text citations is not to pimp our work or to show our lecturers that we also know how to cite, is to refer your readers so that they can go and read more if they wanted to. So whenever you're referring your reader to a book, remember a book can be 300 pages, 1,000 pages. It will take them an entire day to locate that particular information. So how can we help our readers also find this information easily when they want to? So whenever you are referring your readers to a book, please also include the page number. So after the year, so let me just copy back this and start paste this here. So after the year, put another comma and put page. Because the page you are not writing in full, you have to put the period after the P, because just as English, whenever you're not you are shortening a word, you put a period. So maybe page 123. Only use this if this source is a book, or it's a very long report, a compilation of various, a report like 80, 70 pages, that it will be very difficult for the reader to locate that particular place, the particular location within that report where the authors talk about the most developed countries in Africa, or where authors make this claim. So we also include the page number. So according to APA, if you are referring your reader to just a single page, you use a single P. But if you are referring them to several pages, because maybe the information you are referring them to is not just located on a single page. They have to read several pages to get the idea of Kenya is the most developed countries in Africa. So use double P's. So PP 123 to 130. So you're telling them, you know what, you can go and read this book. Open page 123, read through to page 130. You'll get the idea where this author is claiming that Kenya is one of the most developed countries in Africa. So this is one instance when you must include the page numbers. Sometimes you might read a book that does not have page numbers. There are no assigned page numbers. In that case, what do? You can also quote or cite the chapter. So instead of the page number, you can just say chapter 3. Okay. Maybe the entire chapter is talking about this idea and you want the reader to read the entire chapter. You can also say chapter 3. Okay. So one of the instances when you need to include more than just the year is when you're referring to books, because we don't want to force our reader to read the entire book. And remember, books can be on different topics. Chapter 1 can be about health. Chapter 2 can be about politics. Chapter 4 can be about something very different. So if you're just telling me to go and read that book, I'll be confused. I mean, do I need to read the entire book? Where do I locate this information? So make it easier for your readers by trying to pinpoint the particular, page or page ranges where they can find that particular information, where they can, go and read. So that is one instance. The next instance where you need to also include page numbers is when you're referring to direct quotes. So whenever you quote somebody word by word, direct quotes mean you're quoting somebody word by word. Let me show you an example. So here I just copy pasted the idea from somebody. this somebody used the same exact words, and for some reason I feel like changing it will take away from it something, take away the juice that is within that point. So I want just to copy directly the way it is. I have to put it in quotation marks to show that this is a quote. So in this case, regardless of whether this source is a book or an article, regardless of whether it's a book or an article, as long as you use a direct quote, make sure you also cite the page. So in this case, we'll put Aswani 2021 or 2022, page 123. It appears on that page. Then you have a full stop. So this is a direct quote. This thing can be an article, it can be a book, but as long as you have a direct quote, please ensure you also include the page number, because in this case, you're not just referring readers to a point, you're actually referring them to a particular phrase within that article, book, or website. So make sure you include the page. If pages are not available, you can include the paragraph if it is possible to count the number of paragraphs. Sometimes you can find that an article has so many paragraphs, and where you want to quote the paragraph, you have to spend the entire day to count. But if it happens that you can easily count the paragraphs, you can as well use that, paragraph 5. But you realize maybe it was in paragraph 200. Can you count from the first paragraph to 200? It doesn't make sense. You can just leave it out, okay? So paragraph 3. I think it's easier when there are fewer paragraphs when you want to count them. But if there are many paragraphs, it's not practical to start counting all of these paragraphs. So again, whenever you're using direct quotes, please be sure to also include the page or the paragraph number where that particular quote appears within that source, regardless of whether it's a book or an article or a website. For website, in most cases, they don't have pages, okay? They'll have a paragraph number. You'll have to count the paragraphs. But only use direct quotes when the question allows you to, because these are plagiarism. This will count as plagiarism. Don't use direct quotes unless the question strictly asks you to use direct quotes. Okay, if they are not there, there's no guideline of whether you can use it or you cannot use, please avoid using direct quotes. So there are two types of direct quotes. We have long quotes and we have short quotes. So again, according to APA guidelines, what you have done here is a short quote, which is less than 40 words. But if the quote is more than 40 words, you put it as a freestanding paragraph, okay? Put it as a freestanding paragraph, which must be indented all round. So let me just get an example of something to use to illustrate that bit. I hope this thing is still recording. Sometimes it stops recording. So let me just get an example to illustrate the idea of direct quotes. So maybe this was somebody's work. Somebody was talking, and this paragraph is here. Okay, could be book or article, but you have to choose one, okay? Aswani claims. So you introduce that quote, okay? Then you put it as a freestanding paragraph. So the quote, let's assume this is a direct quote. You've copied this paragraph from the Aswani source word by word without modifying. You'll paste it there, but highlight the entire quote, select all of it, and just click tab so that it is pushed a little bit inside, okay, the entire of it, and then put the page maybe 140, okay? So put a full stop. After the full stop, put the page, okay, page 140. So this, you don't put quotes, okay? You don't put quotation marks on long quotes. You don't put quotation marks on long quotes, please. Just put it as a freestanding paragraph, but make sure it is all of it is indented. So you select the entire quote and push it a little bit inside. Let me take this. Hello. Yes. Bado namalizia tu in the next few. So make sure you put it as a freestanding paragraph, okay? Yeah, so these are long quotes. Don't use quotation marks on a long quote. And then once you want to continue now, you want to continue with the rest of the sentences, just click enter and make sure you return back. So let's say you're continuing. So you can see what is happening. The quote appears to be, you know, separate, but it's indented, the entire of it. Okay. Yeah, so this is how you use long quotes. Short quotes you put in quotation marks. Okay, this is the format. If page numbers are available, use page numbers. If they're not available, see if you can count the number of paragraph. It's not if it's not practical to count paragraph, you can just leave it out. Okay, or just abandon the direct quote altogether. Don't use it if it's not possible to count number of paragraphs. But again, you only include page numbers if it's a direct quote or if it's a book. Okay, so somebody asked, what if it's more than one chapter? Yeah, you can just say chap 3 to 4. Where were we? Where were we? Where were we? We were here. Chap 3 to 4. Okay, there's no problem. So you want to refer them to several chapters, you can just say chapter 3 to 4. Use the hyphen. Or is it the dash, the hyphen? Chapter 3 to 4, chapter 3 to 5. Okay. You can say chapter 3 and 4 and 7. Maybe it's not 2. Maybe chapter 3 and 7. You can just style them chapter 3 and 7. No problem. So let me see if there's another question. Yeah, so just please only use page numbers if something is a book. And it's very easy to know. When you are on Google Scholar, you can know if something is a book. Okay, let's say effects of let's say effective communication. You can see this is a book. They are just telling it's a book. Okay, this is also a book. Google Scholar will tell you if something is a book. Okay, this just the others are just articles, so you can see if it's a book or not. And let me just emphasize something. Whenever you're quoting page numbers, please do not use the page number that your PDF is showing you. The PDF reader might show you page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but those are not necessarily the page numbers for that article. Like in this case, this PDF reader is showing me this is page 1, and then it's showing me this is page 2. But in reality, this is actually may not actually be page 2. So you have to look at the page number written on that particular article. This one does not have page. Okay, you can see this is page 43. Okay, this is page 44. I don't know why it's behaving that. This is page 44. And the other one is page 45. This is 45. But my PDF reader is showing this is page 4. So when you're looking for the page number, like you wanted to cite this article, picking a direct quote from this location maybe, and then you want to quote this page number, please look at the page number written on that document, not the page number that PDF reader is showing you. You will say this is page 4, this is wrong. Say this is page 45, not page 4. This is page 45 and not page 4. So get it right again. Open that document. Look, page number must have been written somewhere, maybe at the top or the bottom, top right or bottom left, bottom right. Just look for it. Get the page number written on that particular document, not the page number that your PDF reader is showing you, because they could be different. So again, get that right. And usually, whenever you want to cite a material, you realize at the end they'll tell you the page number. So in this case, it tells you this document starts from page 43. Okay, so even if you wanted to guess a page number, because sometimes people want to guess page numbers, guess somewhere between page 43 onwards. But don't guess page number. Just open that document, look for keywords. If you wanted to cite the word information of employees, just look for the word employee in this document, see where it's appearing, at least cite that page where the word employees appears. So don't guess the page number. So let me see, there's a question. No question. Yeah, so I'll upload that video on my channel later. I think that's all. Unless somebody has a question, I'm stopping there.